Hello and welcome, as it is that of day number 27 for month 6 in year 2018. My name is Derek, and this is a crypto trading update. I'm going to try to do another altcoin detailed analysis video later in the day. Still not sure which altcoin I'm going to do. If you have any suggestions, and I don't really want to pluralize it, as if you put more than 2 codes, and I'm pretty much not even going to look at it. But if there's a coin or two that you're interested in seeing, I would prefer to see it available on the TradingView site, which means something tradable on either Bittrex, Binance, or Poloniex. Okay, let's start off with Theta /BNB, or the Binance coin. It's only been around for a few days, as we can see in here, or close to a month. And it's been in a downtrend, which a lot of coins have been against Binance, because it being Binance has done really well throughout the last month. Maybe not so much in the last few days. I'm going to quickly put the Binance chart on, then return to this one. For this is Binance versus Bitcoin on the daily chart, which after this double top formation in here, it's been resisting the neckline for a few days. So definitely a lot of concern that it might fill some of this gap and maybe make a leg lower. I'd be looking at about the 20 handle, maybe a small pierce below, to match the resistance area from June the 4th, as well as May the 18th. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that's the case. It just means to me that there's a lot of concern or higher probability odds for such an event to occur on this coin, because of after this rally comes to the 18 highs, matches the high, and then after this decent red candle down, which was a small pierce below the previous support, but for it to have these 3 days without any rallies and to show that it's leaving the 18 average, which is newly flattened, definitely a reason over the next few days to think this is going to go lower. Binance coin against that of the US dollar. As we take a look at this one in here, it's been in a nice little uptrend, but it's having a little more sideways action. And even if it comes down to about the $12 handle, that would still be the support area for where you would expect neutrality to be as its key current range, because it's had a lot of support at about $12. The resistance that was established is at $16 and about 20 cents, even realistically about $15.84. because it resisted it here on April 25th. It did so again on May the 18th. But the key thing is it's been finding support here for a little while. However, of course, again, because of this sideways move, I would be not looking at a breakdown to $12 by anywhere near a bearish signal, but a breakdown below 12, maybe. So back to the Theta against a BNB, and the daily chart's not going to give us much. 400-minute time frame, that's all we got. But straight down from this high on the 4th, and now it's been reversing the trend. So since this green candle higher, it has been making a nice little grind towards the upside. We take a look at this on a single-hour time frame. I ended up having a sell order hit at the 13 handle, which would have been right here. And when I woke up this morning, I was like, okay, cool. So I wanted to put a buy order back in. My first spot that I wanted to buy order was right here, right below this line at 11. And then I thought to myself, wait a second here. Wait a second. I already got a buy order here at the 8. And we're in a situation in which, well, this market isn't all that bullish overall as far as the crypto space is concerned. So I thought, you know what? If I'm going to be buying at 80, why don't I put a buy order in, say, at the 100 handle right here instead? This way, if the market manages to go down here, then I'll obviously get the buy and I'll put my sell back in where I did before. Maybe a little bit lower than I did. I did 1299 or something like that. And that's what it exactly was 112.99 Satoshi. Now, I went to cancel. This happened after I put the order in, maybe 20 minutes went by, and I'm thinking to myself after, yeah, let's cancel the order. So I go on there and I push the cancel button, but then they give me an error message. And the error message was that they were running maintenance and that the exchanges were closed. And I'm used to sites doing such. And I gave Binance an email, but I'm hoping they'll fix that, because whenever an exchange goes down on trading for whatever reason, it would be nice if you could be able to cancel any orders. Because in the example of, say, something like this, and I'm going to just now switch over Theta now against a cross to Bitcoin. And let's just assume, with this being the 1 hour time frame, that it's, say, in this little area here is what I'm going to focus on. Assuming that the exchange stated, oh, by the way, we're going down, and they do so when the price was at, say, 24.85. Now, Theta is going to be trading on the Huobi exchange, while this one would be down. Now, if you had a sell order in, say, for 25.80, and then this thing was going up, and you see, oh my goodness, 26.40, 26.88, 27.28, you're going to want to cancel that sell order. Because if you're not able to, and then the moment the markets are going to come back into play, people are going to buy this up so cheap at that time. And to me, you should be able to protect yourself from such an event. And same thing on the opposite end. Say if it was starting up in here. Maybe I was lucky enough to get a sell order at 27.40, or just looking to do a buyback. If I had a buy order in for, say, 26.27, and now it's falling even down to 25, then I'm going to want to be able to remove that buy order, because I can obviously, I don't want to be buying at 2600 if it's selling for 25 at that time. Now, as far as this overall coin is concerned, the Theta on the Bitcoin exchange, price action in at 2,600. Is this a start of a legitimate rally? I have to say that with a question mark, because I don't know. I'm playing these cryptos long term, that they're not going to wear the market down lower or grind itself to the downside. I'm looking for markets that will go up or go sideways. And if it does go down, well, if it has high enough volatility, say a market that looks like this, see, something like that, if it has these decent rallies and a downtrend, then I'll be doing all right, because of the opportunities that I'm having to enable sell opportunities. A lot of the markets that have been grinding its way lower, you just don't get anything for such an event. For if we look at SYS, when they do this, this is where you just keep buying, and where are you ever going to get a sell opportunity? If I buy here, then maybe I can get one. And buying at this low, well, let's just put it into perspective. 42.50 here, 48.50 there. I mean, that's only 15%. And for Sys coin, that's about the minimum that I'm actually looking for right now, is 15% moves from my last trade. Because for me, how I trade, practically everything, but not always everything, but the majority of the things I trade, I'm going to have buy and sell orders in. So if a buy order comes in, say at this level, then I'm going to be looking to sell it up here or buy back down here. So whatever the market does next is where I'm going to act to. So if it goes up here, oh, okay, thank you. I'm going to have another sell order up here, and I'm going to put a buy order maybe down here. Okay, so I hit this buy order. I'll put a sell order up here. Oh, another buy order. Okay, so I'll put a sell order up here. And then it does something like that. Maybe I'll get 3 sell orders. And that's basically how I want to play the game and how I am playing the game. Now within DGB on the 3 hour time frame, I'm going to see now if playing against the market is going to cost me, or that of a short sale. And if it costs me, it's only going to cost me about 3%, because I just sold at 379 current price, and I only sold a little bit, which means now I have my next sell order in at that of 439. So if the market comes up here next, that's where I'll be selling. And I put my buy order back in at 336, right back into this previous area in which it came from. And if you think a market's going to be bullish, then I'm going to want to put a buy order for where that would be of a higher low. And a more conservative one, safer one, would be about 345. But I'm not going to take that number. I'm going to take the 36 level. If you consider it to be, if you think this move has a good chance of being a failed breakout, then you're going to want to buy your next level, at least using my strategy, at one of two places. Either at the previous low, barely above 300, or even a leg lower from that, maybe around 275 or 260. But as it's playing, I got two buy orders in, not only at the 336, but I got one at 302 as well, to match this previous low. That's the last place I bought before, was at 300 on this down move. I've had two sell orders happen, because before selling at the 379 handle, before that, I had a 349 sell order hit. So the 349 sell order probably would have hit one of these peaks here. But I didn't buy back at the 18 average of lows. If I did, I would have had to have bought around 330, 331. And that would have been a differential of 18 points, which is about 5-6%. Now this isn't available to trade on Binance. It's available on a lot of different places like Bittrex and Poloniex. I'm trading it on Poloniex only because the rate there is 0.1% if you are the maker, and most of the time there I am. So that's why I would prefer to trade it on that exchange. And I like to have funds on multiple different exchanges. Right now I'm playing 5 different ones. And the main 3, of course, for me are Bittrex, Poloniex, and Binance. They're the biggest exchanges out there. Now I had Poloniex, they've lost a lot of we'll say customers. I can see with the user rates that it's half from where I started about 16 months ago. It's about 5,000-6,000 people on. Let me check right now. And that number is 5,574 as at 2018-06-27, 1914 UTC. And that time translates into that of 3:16 p.m. Eastern as I'm doing this video. Now let's move this on to Litecoin, which on the daily term time frame against the US dollar has been in a major downtrend, still well below the 18 average of lows. Right now the 18 average of lows is in at, well, it's hard to read, but 85 at 92. I can see up on the upper left the blue numbers where WMA stands for weighted moving average. And if you're curious to what weighted moving average is, it takes more precedence to recent periods. So for the 18 average of highs, the high in this period is in at 81. So it takes 81 and it multiplies 18. Then the period before, the high was 82.53. It multiplies that by 17. It would multiply the previous number by 16 and so on and so forth. And then it would divide it, I think it's by 176, which is the sum of numbers 1 through 18. I don't remember. It's been a long time since I actually had to calculate such for spreadsheet programming. And when a long time means many, many months ago. Okay, so then the major level of support is 111. Why is this important for me? Oftentimes, key levels, when it gets back to there, whether it's bullish or bearish, will reach that level as a resistance area target. Now, what do I mean when I say either bullishly or bearishly? Well, here's what I mean. We'll put a horizontal array in just so it's easier to see. And first of all, this is where the lowest level right here is. We can see like 109. Generally speaking, it usually pierces extra, so I'd be moving it up a bit like this. So I would consider maybe 115 as an area where I would predict on the next rally. At some point, it's going to have a level of resistance. So on a bullish level, what I'm talking about is you make your run up to something like this, and either one of two things is going to happen. Either it's just going to go sideways along here, finding either support or resistance at this level, or chopping above and below it. Or you can have a price correction, maybe something like this, before you end up taking it out and then making a new run. That's, of course, a bullish level, is having a pattern of higher highs and higher lows, and then talking about Fibonacci extension retracement from the end of and start of this year's highs at around 400 to whatever this low happens to be, which is currently in at 73. So that's what it would be on a bullish level. But on a bearish level, it's not uncommon to have bear market rallies, and something like that would mean, okay, and then you have maybe something like that if it was going to be the bear market sort. So for me as a trader, this means that the general area where I want to be more aggressive than other spots amongst this trade area for sell orders is in at 115. And also, risk reward management is job number one. And therefore, I have to realize that how much do I sell at this? This is portfolio management. I don't want to under or oversell. If I undersell, that means I'm selling not enough. I'm not getting enough of a play that I should. But if I oversell, I don't want to have situations run into place where this thing gets out of hand and I got most of my sale in at prices much, much lower. So I want to make sure when I place sell orders for anything, okay, at the price point of here, where will I stand? And how many of these do I want to have at this point? Because I'm obviously going to try to buy this back lower, maybe whatever price, whether I want to buy at 92, whether I want to buy at a matching low at 77, or a lower low at around maybe 60, or whichever number to choose. But if I have the right number, then I'll know, okay, this is fine. So I'll know I'm going to be selling again here. So when the price action gets up to, say, 180, then I'm going to be in the same position. And one way of doing it is, if my units are worth X here, X is this is algebra. I want to make sure that the value, X's value, how much it's worth in Bitcoin, how much it's worth in dollars, whichever measure, probably a little bit of both. Your base currency, how much it's worth. Because it's obviously, when the price action gets higher, it's going to be, well, from say at 75 to 115, it's going to be X multiply like 1.6 or whatever. You know that. It's just going to be like a 1.6X, whatever. I want to make sure that after I sell, if I'm going to make a new variable for my portfolio balance post-sale, we'll call that Y, that Y is greater than X. Meaning, if I had, say, 50 grand worth at this point, and then it goes up and it's worth like, say, 65 grand, whatever, then maybe I'm going to sell 5 grand or 10 grand worth. And thus it would be the case. So in here, we'll call this letter Z, which is the Canadian way of saying it. The United States goes with Z, and I'm not too sure about Australia or Europe. But at this stage, I'm going to be making sure Z is greater than Y, and on that with every single level. Now, there's going to be situations in which I want to aggressively profit take. But for this to be the case, I'm not looking for any aggressive profit taking within the retracement. Within the retracement means below this high. I want to wait for an upside target, a higher leg well above this point. before I get into any major aggressive selling, at least within Litecoin. Let's next take a look at Litecoin against Bitcoin, and I got a lot of lines in here, and it's been in a big downtrend for quite some time here as well, continuously down since breaking down below around the 150 or so area, falling down to 125. And for me, my last buy order was 120, and I'm not even in position to sell right now, only because my last buy order was like up here around the 13th. It's been days since I bought it, a few days. Maybe let me just check. What was my last buy against Bitcoin? And that's it at 129. So my last few trades, I sold 164, then I bought 157, 152, 144. Then I sold at 152, buying back at 148, 141, 138, 129, and my next buy order was 120. So therefore at 131, I'm not selling at 1.5, or basically, yeah, maybe 1% plus of a gain. But on the hourly time frame, maybe this can get some of this movement back, but we can see here, major resistance, this is the next little level that it's going to be working to get above or to beat, is this level of resistance. And if you want to look at a situation where it's both bullish and bearish to find resistance, and we're at the lower end of this area now, even upwards to about 134. But if it is able to make a higher low on any pullback, if that's the case, then any situation where I see something like that, I'm going to be liking the odds it would take it out. And if a situation of taking out key resistance comes into play, I always look for sig legs higher, or significant legs higher. I like to pronounce things short form, I guess. Sig is significant, previous. But for me, if I see a break above this level, I'd be looking, let me just go 3 hour instead. I mean, this thing has been going down. I'd be looking maybe to go, what? I didn't want text. Well, where it says text, I'd be looking for a move a little bit above that. Let's move on to Litecoin versus Ethereum next. And these lines have been drawn in for quite some time. Now the question is, are we going to support or resist the line that it's at now? It kind of supported here. I mean, this large pierce above, I mean, that's frustrating. If you're looking to get buy orders in here, and you're going to miss it, because if you even did a small pierce above back at the end of May, there's a good chance you were unable to miss it, thus miss the sale opportunity on this rally. But if you were looking to, say, buy at this point and then sell here, you could have bought here and then missed the sale order here as well, because this pierced well below the key Fibonacci high as well. However, as I would like to look at it, in order to revert the trend, it's got to have band flatten out. So in the situation before, it did so here. That was a band flattening out. Establish resistance right here. Stage 3, come back to the band, which is that. But it never even had an attempt to even get outside of the band to the upside. And then when this red candle comes into play in here, and you follow it through with but 5 or 6 periods hugging the 18 highs as it is, you can't be surprised that you had this leg lower because of that situation. Now, all we are doing is having the band flatten out by having a move to the 18 average of highs on this. So like I've stated before, there's always a lot of work in reversal of trend. And case in point right now within this. But when you look at the just simple strategies of buying low, selling high, or if you look at it this, oh, you've been selling here. Well, you're going to put a buy order, say lower, and then you get a whole bunch of other sell orders come in. Eventually in time, you would see every single sell order would have been bought back. And then a whole bunch of selling up to the April highs, and it's been nothing but buying on the way down. So therefore, as long as you play in a market that is going to remain choppily sideways like this, which is totally fine, one that goes up, then the strategy towards such is always going to overperform the market. Let's take a look at this next against BNB. And this is all we have on the daily term time frame. When this thing was going on, this was like 80 or 83. Now it's 573. This low in here represents the area of about $9. This high over 20. So well better than a 2x from the low to the high. And now if this is over 20 and this is almost 5, that's about a 4x loss going down here. And for myself as a trader, I'm looking for volatility within these markets of high levels, because what this enables me to do when I'm buying low and selling high is for me to have my buy orders ready. And when you look at stuff like this, and there really isn't any sell orders, not yet, that were placed to make the opposite happen. But it means you get buy orders in that you don't deserve, quote unquote, that you're going to get anyway. Why don't you deserve it? Because the price never really went down there, is why you don't deserve it. But if you had a buy order here and even here, or whatever, and those low points, that means that you got your Litecoin in this case and you were able to sell them immediately back on the exchange and then put those buy orders back in place. That's what I like about the strategy, is because when the stuff like that happens, ka-ching. Now, why does that happen? Why do these markets have these big ticks up and down that are practically artificial? And I say practically because this is real events that happen and only price pays. Well, the reason for such is this is somebody at the time who really wanted to get out of Litecoin and or into Binance Coin. Big time. Big account. So they just unloaded everything they did at market price. And they had a lot to unload, obviously. So they took every single one of the bids in, thus enabling people with buy orders to get immediate great deals. And then within the volatility, like the orders, this way, if I'm looking at this now, I can have maybe, well, let me see, where's my next sell order? I want to take a look. And on June the 20th, or 7 days ago, is when I placed these sell orders. One at 708, one at 999, one at 1788, and another at 4895. Now what I do, I'm just probably going to get the next sell order in at 7. So what I would do is once this sell order comes in, I'm going to put a buyback in. And because of higher volatility, instead of buying back at like say 620 or 6 or 650, I might get away with being able to do buybacks at $5 and $4.80 and get much larger volatility, which is what I'm thriving to get. Now a lot of it is going to be on how the market moves for what I would do after that, but I would generally remove these sell orders and then put another one in. I'd probably lower this to maybe 9 outside of 10, maybe even 875. But I like to have, with a sell order, the next one after that to be higher than where I would normally have it. And then just have much, much higher after that, just in case, realizing that I'm going to be putting new sell orders in once a buy or sell order comes in, thus adjusting your portfolio or your orders after an executed trade. So with my next sell order in at 708, that means I'm not selling until it gets up to this point here. It's got to go a long, long ways for me to get it. But these markets move so wild that it's not a surprise. I mean, this is just a little bit on the way up. Then after that at 999. But you know what? Normally I'd be like, this is fine just to move up towards here. But if it's going to go up wildly, then I want to have extra moves, because you never know when these things go, how they're going to go. So that's why I want to make sure, in case you get those unbelievable out of control moves, I'm ready for it, as well as these types of plays as well. And this video is going a long time. It's now going to be post 30 minutes, but this will be it regarding that of cryptos, last code rather. Don't know why that does it. Sometimes I flip it, it'll just take me to a main homepage like that. But anyway, these are the type of moments that I'm looking for, as a lot of profit can be made by buying and selling within such. Now, one thing I've been looking for here is volatility. For you have the size of these moves that precede such, and we can see that they get really, really big. If you take a look at this, say on a, let's do 3 hour next, big time here. Look at the smallest sizes and the big sizes beforehand. Look at the big and small sizes now. So with that being said, yeah, there hasn't been too many, the volatility has been reducing since, say, June 25th. But it's at a point where it's moving to a key level that we could very easily have a decent size move lower. But bottom line is the volatility is shrinking as it's supposed to. I want to see how well that this exact area of around 1450 is going to hold, because that's a 61.8% retracement area from this low to this high. So if it fails, that tells me that the rally attempt was that of a failure. So therefore, if that's the case, and we look at this on a daily term time frame, then what I'd be looking at isn't good for bullish moves if this is a failed move. I'm just going to adjust the scaling a little bit, because now if I see this failed breakout play out through here, not finding support in this area where it should, which is now moving in towards where the 18 lows is in, it's still within the correctionary phase. If I see over the next several periods, over the next 4, 5, 6, 7 days, weakness amongst this, I'm going to realize that the probability for the failed breakout is in place. I would expect it to break below the support and have an okay leg lower if that's the case. One thing to note is the volume. You can see how massive it is when we look at it this way. I mean, there's nothing beforehand. There's a little bit of volume here, but obviously this has been bigger along the way. And then when we compare this little bit of volume compared to the entire amount in here, even though that's big volume in comparison to the last few months, it's still microscopically small compared to what we had before. And in a rally situation, when this thing is ready to go, the pullback is happening on lower volume. The fundamentals come into play, or the timing of when cryptos play out. It's not going to care that it might be a little bit lower and it maybe does something like this, going to previous low or lower low. If it's ready to go, it will go. You'll see big volume coming in. And like a lot of the cryptos, they go up a lot faster, especially the ones priced against Bitcoin anyway, than they do on the downside. So I'd like to thank you for tuning in to a video that was about 30% longer than I planned on. I was planning on about 22 minutes for this video. Much longer, but thank you for tuning in and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.